Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Laura Crapo, and I hope the outside noises aren't too loud. But so I'm gonna do a collective reading on I guess I don't want to say it exactly, but uh, when it seems certain people have made plans for the rest of the world, and they think that it's just gonna go lockstep, no problem. But you know, historically, things haven't worked out in those kind of uh, situations. So I'm just gonna tune in, and I'll get more specific. I just don't want to be naming specific names or anything like that. But I want this reading to be about hope, and that kind of nature wins, and love wins in the end. So okay. I don't know what this is the second time I've had to take off. I think it's about grounding, because when you wear rubber flip-flops or plastic, whatever they were made of, they insulate. They're grounding blockers or something. Okay. So the first thing I pick up is kind of demonstration vibes. You know, okay, what about that specifically? It doesn't feel like it really gets to the core of change necessarily, the way I'm seeing it. It's a good way to meet other like-minded people. I know my dad met a lot of friends and stuff, long-term friends at demonstrations and stuff. But okay. I feel like the what's being highlighted to me is positive actions in demonstrations rather than argumentative ones. Ones that change the vibe. So if it's singing together, but not in a you really have to I'm not telling people what to do. I'm just telling you what I pick up and take it or leave it. Uh, Changing the vibe is really powerful. And let's say some situation's really negative, and you're coming in with this really positive, uplifting vibe, and that can make people who are on the fence want to be part of the good team. And um it has an effect on the heart space and stuff, and that can be very transformative. So even if somebody's in the role of security or whatever, it's still going to touch their heart that you're reaching this good vibe. Okay, and then I just want to talk a bit about organizations, large ones and stuff, that try to say this is our plan, this is what we're doing, we've been planning this for decades, and here we go implementing the thing or whatever. But on an individual basis, people have pretty much thrown their heart in the garbage to play ball with that. And so that's a point where transformation can take place. Okay. Yeah, I feel like just because someone might have thought of something 50 years ago, 15 years ago, like, the progress of information and communication is sped up so much that it doesn't really make sense to ride with, like, out of date concept. So even people who are, like, part of that system of trying to implement stuff that is very controlling, uh, they can they can rightfully put in the argument that, like, some update, some revision needs to be done, like, on a regular basis to, like, keep in step with, like, the present day. So, instead of, like, coming up against them, like, "Stop it," or, like, you can evolve things in, like, a better direction. But these are just for, like, people working in the system. So to, like, normalize updating, like, regularly, even if it's, like, a sort of soft, like, "Okay, like, there's new data," kinda thing, and then not kinda morphing things into a better direction from the inside, like, I feel like. Also, I feel like just politically, like, um, it seems like an outmoded model that was created prior to the invention of the internet, like, um, even the telephone or the radio, so it's, let me just look at that. Like, it's not gonna go so far as, like, computer says, it's not like the computer's running in the race too. It's like there's something about, a quicker turnover maybe? Wait. I think, like, and it's somewhat reflected in how the internet is presenting political stuff where, like, even if nobody in the house or whichever country you're in, or uh, like, if the representatives, even if, like, almost nobody showed up, it's still being televised, like, still the public is has access to see, like, who's a good speaker, who's good at representing the people's collective will. Like, the no-show people and stuff, and, like, the bickering and the the kinda UFC vibe of just being in the hall together and arguing, like, has become very outmoded, and I feel like it's, like, comically outdated. It's feels like more like there's an even playing field. It's like, uh, where people who are doing a good job will, like, have more success, and, like, people who, like, resonate with, voters and stuff. Like, I kinda mention this a lot in my readings, like, because I grew up in the early '70s stuff, like, when there were variety shows and stuff, and, like, to me, the way that the US government kind of appears, like I'm a dual citizen, but, like, so I have some connection to the States, but I've been mostly living in Canada my whole life, and, anyhow, so the present sort of show, seems like a variety show. Like it's like seems really outdated, like massively outdated, and I'm sure it doesn't resonate with the new generation of adults, like what is it, Gen Z, whatever. Um, so it's sort of like this dinosaur that's having its last breaths, I guess. Like the structure, how they present it, how all that stuff. So, I mean, it's on everybody to sort of get involved with ideas on political reform to reflect like communication today and like the level of like the community heart is kind of evolving over time, and it has to reflect that too. Like you used to be like in my childhood, like an environmentalist was like a real, because like nature was still in pretty good shape back then, so they seemed like kind of an oddball, like loner kind of person, but now like literally everyone is an environmentalist. So it's like times have changed and the structures have to reflect the speed at which like things can be repaired or talked about or processed and stuff like that. Okay. Mhm. Yeah, so if like, because like even just interpersonally, like with between you know people, like we know that standing up, putting your foot down and yelling at someone that they're wrong, like it doesn't work very well, and can just like make someone defensive and put up an even bigger wall, and in some cases. So it's like it's the rare person who can like calmly listen to someone yelling at them and go like, okay, I hear your points, and they're valid, and like it's like uh it's a rare person that can be calm like that, to take that. So giving that kind of form of argument to something you're against isn't gonna be super effective unless you're going to demonstration, like I said, to like meet other like-minded people and connect, and you know that more positive stuff. And raising the vibe is like really powerful. I mean, like if you think of like someone's like favorite song, no matter what's going on in your life and you hear that song, it's just like everything stops and you're like brought into this world. Like you people have that power to like bring about those moments for others. You can change the vibe, like, and collectively it's really powerful to do that. So I guess it's kind of like the collective needs to sort of have like a what's it called, like a system upgrade or whatever, like what's like first decide like how do I want to feel, and like check in with how that what that note, that musical note is, or what what that feeling really feels like, and kind of like maintain that, and it has like an effect on the community and stuff. Because if you think of that as like the starting point for all activities, like if you, let's say you plan like a birthday party, and even though you're tired, you like tripped and like dropped the cake and had to make another one quickly or whatever could have made you mad or cranky, you still, the ultimate host or hostess that you are, you're just like, I'm creating this good vibe no matter what. Like, you know, and from there you have the party unfolds kind of thing. So it's the same thing in life where regardless of what's going on, you decide like we're gonna have okay, we're gonna start the day on like on a good vibe, and then that from there like things can take place, and it's very palpable. Like you don't have to speak on it, like people can pick up on that vibe. Okay, wait, so we were kind of gone. We went from the government buildings to the birthday party. Okay, we'll go back. I think like a lot of first person accounts are really interesting that people post on YouTube or whatever. And it can also be everybody giving their account on like what works maybe in terms of governmental stuff, or how can I say this right? I don't want it to be too vague, but okay, like let's say you have an opportunity to talk to either municipal or state or provincial level, like whatever level you're allowed to talk to somebody at. Know that you're talking to a person and you're not having like an argument. Like even though let's say like from their perspective, the person in office, right? While they may have entered it with good intentions, it's nonetheless like a very structured thing with like, the veteran people and like people used to throwing their power around, and it's like it's a bit of like an episode of Dynasty and stuff. And if you're trying to like have positive change and you're speaking from the heart, you want to speak to the other person's heart, like just to digress for a second, like if you're meditating and you're all in your head and trying to like sort out all the information in your head, you could also bring your consciousness into your heart space and just sort of let your head rest for a bit and like see all what's like going on in there, and how different it feels. It's different kind of information, and it has sort of a different way of thinking, which is pretty cool if you take the time to do it. And it also kind of has like a more of a unity kind of vibe than the headspace. So when you're communicating with someone, whether it's an elected official or whatever, try to communicate to their heart space. And if you spend 5 minutes to like just tune in, if you pretend like your brain is actually in your heart, like, and you think from there, just try that for 5 minutes and like see what kind of like different solutions you come up with, or what different things you might want to say that are maybe just as or more effective. So I'm suggesting that understand that the person has a heart and like speak to them that way, and that might like wake up their heart if it's kind of asleep. Because I don't want to get too ahead of myself there. Okay, what else? Okay. If anyone, any subscribers want to ask a question, I'm happy to give like a intuitive answer to that that's not related to what I'm talking about, because we're on a live. Okay. Yeah, so I feel like even if it's just in one office where people implement like having more data about like certain important things, like they're just, and then like that kind of spreads, like it's normalized, like the refreshing of like an idea, or like fine-tuning like of a plan, like for instance, like with the whole Maui and Los Angeles fire stuff, like it gives the impression that there's like a plan that's been in place, and like a civic restructuring, and well, that might be the case, like if people are instead of just being like at heads with people, like getting in arguments, like they provide like more updated information on everything, and like kind of, let me just try to say this correctly. Yeah, having like really good updated concepts of like how people want to live moving forward, which would differ from some idea or plan that someone came up with like 10 years ago, like is more valid, and it's on people to like keep refreshing like the information like from the inside, like people who work in these positions, or if you're comfortable communicating or writing letters, or as opposed to being in a group yelling outside a building with security and stuff like that, because it's not really a dialogue you want to have with security, but in the end, like if you're in a demonstration, it's you directly talking to security, whereas if you're dealing with information in a different way, then you're actually dealing with the people who are like making the plans and stuff. And there's tons of levels of people in planning, like there's construction people, there's architects, there's all kinds of like ways to like get your message heard on some level that is the most in line with your interest or expertise. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know if this is interesting to anyone except me, but anyway, okay. I'll probably change the title of this video after, but okay, what else? Yeah, and I feel too that like there's a lot of being sensitive is good, like sensitive people, and like in a demonstration atmosphere, it's like extra scary, but you like care a lot about what's going on. But like I'm saying, like there are ways in which you can provide information or ideas to people on certain levels, or even if they're like politician a joint, like, because like they deal with companies in the community, and like, so it's more just like flushing the community full of like new information, and like it's bringing things up to like the status of now, rather than like some pie in the sky projection for like whatever weird plan, like like uh like when you think about corporations, like the people who work for it are sort of obliged to keep this sort of mysterious entity like alive. Like, and then there's like the investors who, no matter what, like want to see their money grow, and like it's just like very like a, you know, fictitious on many levels. And like we, at the same time, we live in a world that is interconnected and isn't and functions best like with this kind of flow of like nature communicating with itself, and like the seasons, and like, you know, all that stuff. So like when you put in this sort of like bizarre, like sort of Chucky doll in the mix of like, you know, I'm not real, like I'm like, but I, you know, but people work for me. Like it's kind of bizarre. So it's like the to somehow make businesses moving forward reflect the truth of where we live, like of nature, and like how nature functions and communicates and stuff, and that it's not a fiction. Okay. Yeah, so I think inevitably the corporation must fail, like just philosophically, like because it is not of this earth. You know, you know what I mean? It just comes down to that. So it's kind of on everybody to just go, okay, yeah, that thing, people made that, and we're rolling with it. But I'm going to put my energy into what does work, and to try to like support that with information and policy and like whatever, like contribute to life, instead of just like uh trying to topple the, you know, pretend Barbie doll or whatever, like whatever uh comparison you want. um anyway, so I guess that's the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna have to change the title to something rather different than collective reading, but if you guys have an idea of something you want me to cover, you can email me. Right now my website is down, but it should be back up soonish. And and I guess I'll end it there. But anyway, take care. Bye.